to God, and we're grateful to all of you for continuing to make all of us relevant.
Joy 99.7 FM.
By popular request, I need to bring all of that back. And I know all of you know the reasons why. These things do happen sometimes, don't they? Once again, I'm glad to be here on your Super Dial. It's 99.7. And thanks to the Joy Sports team and the Joy News team. In fact, the Joy News team brought us news at midday. And of course, like I always say, I'm always glad to sit on this platform at this time of the day, every Saturday, to bring you the big personalities, the big issues that affect sport, locally and internationally. My name is Nathaniel Attoh, the man who has love for sport. And we're running between now and the top of the hour, 2 p.m. here on the Joy Sports Link. We're streaming live on Facebook as well. I would like to say thank you to all of our people who are joining us on our live stream. Many things have happened during the week. One of them being, the television rights deal that has landed on the lap of Star Times once again. Good old Star Times. The Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, GBC, have stated very clearly in a release that they will not offer any form of support to Star Times in the broadcast of this season's Premier League. Many questions were raised during the week, and of course we had a lengthy discussion last night on First Take. Of course, a couple of other things have happened, in the past week. Last week around now, we were bringing you an interview with the president of the Ghana FA, Kurto Kreku. We discussed many things, including the confirmation that we were going to have television coverage by Match Day 3. So it's happening with Star Times, with a certain percentage on Max Television as well. But of course, one of the other things that we discussed very thoroughly here on the Joy Sports Link last week was the technical direction of the Black Stars following the dissolution of all the national teams under the Ghana FA. Of course, central to all of them is the senior national men's team, the Black Stars. Now, many people have asked questions about, what is happening regarding the future of the Black Stars post-coach James Kwesi Appiah. So once again, that regular argument and that conversation about who will be the successor to Kwesi Appiah, be he expatriate or, homegrown, another big subject. Do we need to focus on that at all? Well, the discussion is right here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. Remember that you can join our WhatsApp platform with your views and your thoughts and your questions as well. 0244340437. Prefix with +233, remember. So, of course, I'm here with two gentlemen who have played for the Black Stars and are now coaches. They have had a fine feel of what it is like to work under, expatriate coaches and Ghanaian coaches as well. The question we want to ask today is, what should be the structure? What should be the policy going forward? Of course, you hear a lot of conversations about how we should start empowering our homegrown coaches. Should the discussion go beyond that? That is what we want to figure out and establish right here on the show. One of them has played football. Of course, both of them have played football. One of them has managed the goalpost for the Black Stars. Played in the Ghana Premier League, which is now in session. And of course, has many stories from camps at the Africa Cup of Nations. And of course, a CAF license A holder, which qualifies him to coach any of the Premier League teams, the 18 Premier League teams who are playing now. The other is also a coach. Played in the Ghana Premier League, played in Europe, has featured a couple of times at different editions of the Africa Cup of Nations, and has also worked under expatriate and local coaches or Ghanaian coaches within the Black Stars team. So I'm glad to welcome here Coach Abukari Damba, former goalie of the Black Stars, now coach, and Sam Johnson, former defender of the Black Stars and now coach. Gentlemen, thank you very much, and you're looking very funky this afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us, guys.
It's always a pleasure to be around you, Nathaniel. And I must grab the opportunity to say, since 2020, we haven't met. Exactly. We haven't spoken.
You mean since 2019?
No, since the advent of 2020.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's only fair that we'll say a very Happy New Year.
Thank you.
And to our cherished listeners as well. And wishing that 2020 will be
a great year.
A great year, of course. Yes. And of course, a football-loving year.
Yeah, of course, a football-loving year, which has started on a pretty good note. I mean, there's activity finally. Activity is something we were all craving for, for some months, and of course, finally, activity is there. There are other factors which need to make the activity complete, which are being worked on. But at least, activity is there in our football. That's the basic thing. So we're discussing, things that are related to the activity in our football, and that is the technical direction of, our national teams, with central focus on the Black Stars. And of course, before I start the show, let me say, good afternoon to my two daughters, Nora Simone and Reina Jane. They're listening to me. Charlie, it's such a great feeling, when you have your kids listening to you. Especially when they can correct you immediately and say, hey, you didn't say this right. So my kids and my wife are listening to me. It makes me extra excited. Aside the fact that you are also listening to me and are following everything we're doing here. Okay, so let's get down to the business, shall we? Brazil is the most successful nation at the FIFA World Cup, the highest height of competition when it comes to the setup of football in the world. Now, Brazil in 1958 won the FIFA World Cup under Vicente Italo Feola. And then in 1962, they won it a second time under Aimor Moreira. In 1970, Brazil won a third FIFA World Cup. And normally when you win it 3 times, you keep the trophy. And this was under good old Mario Zagallo. In 1994, Carlos Alberto Pereira won it. And Luis Felipe Scolari won it in 2002 when it was co-hosted by Korea and Japan. These are homegrown men. And sometimes you want to ask yourself, maybe we may not be doing something right regarding our search around the world and around the globe when it comes to technical solutions for our problems here. Now, we also refer to our own history, with the Africa Cup of Nations. So, majority of the 4 that we have won were won under the legendary Nana Kumi Gyamfi I, also known as CK Gyamfi. Of course, we bless his soul. We pray for him where, we know that he's resting in the bosom of the Lord. He served the nation well, and he has written his story well. We also continue to pray for Coach Fred Osam Dodu, who also won one of the 4 with the Black Stars. So, homegrown men, they got the solution for us finally. Now, so first of all, gentlemen, thank you very much once again. Now, first of all, is it even necessary at all to determine, to ask yourself, we should go get the person from this location on that or that location around the world? I mean, I've given a certain, background to this, but is it necessary at all, considering where you two have come from? I mean, you've worked with both sets of technical brains from around the world.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity, and a good afternoon to our cherished listeners. Football of yesteryears, if I may start, was played for the fun of it, just for the love of it, and for other reasons. But we need to appreciate and agree and accept the fact that football is now strictly business. Yesteryears, football was not as competitive, in quotes, as today. Football has become scientific. Football has evolved. Times have changed.
So, of course, back in the time, it was very raw.
Very raw.
Okay.
But now football is refined. Either for the betterment of it or not, that is debatable.
But before you continue, on a very light note, so this is what a card, a license card looks like for a CAF license A coach affiliated to the Ghana FA. So there we go. For those of you who are following us on a live stream on Facebook, there it is. Okay, so this is it. Okay, let's go ahead.
Very well. In your introduction, you mentioned some few names about Brazil and how they chalked successes based on the leadership or management from their own homegrown coaches. But there are certain questions that you need to ask. Did they just pop up into the scene, or they had to go through the regimen? They had to go through the various motions to be able to deliver at that level. Were they adequately prepared enough? Is it because Brazil had a particular level that other nations could not catch up with? So for that reason, they dominated for so long? These are lingering questions that we need to ask ourselves all the time. But that notwithstanding, you can't take anything away from Brazil. Brazil did what they had to do. For which reason, if you look at the current trends, since when did Brazil win the World Cup again? That's another question altogether. Why? It's another question altogether. But we need to face it and be very realistic when we talk about these things, so far as comparisons are concerned, and for which reason I hardly will want to always make comparisons of yesteryears and today, because the times have changed. The trends are very different. The thinking is different. The approaches are different. And the personalities involved, be they technical in terms of management or the main actors in terms of the players, all these have become very different. And the mentalities of these two different setups that I've just indicated are also different. So it makes it even more complex to deal with this subject matter. But whether we like it or not, they will always say it, that man's moral progress will never keep up with the technological progress. And that's a fact of the matter. Brazil is Brazil of South America, isn't it?
Yes, of course.
But Ghana is always referred to as what? Brazil of where?
in Africa.
Of Africa.
Of Africa.
Yes.
How many Brazilian coaches, if we are identified and we believe that we have identical, when it comes to the game, we have a similar style in terms of the skill and the God-gifted talent, we are more or less Brazilian, just as we are touted as Brazilians of Africa. How many Brazilian coaches have been brought to Ghana? Because we are touted to be identical. Maybe you can help me if we have had such introductions into our system. So I am thinking that normally we should look at where we are coming from and where we want to go to, which direction we want to go to, and how do we approach it. Who will come and assist us to get to the level that we want to get to? Undoubtedly, Ghana is abundant with talent. The talent level in Ghana is not measurable. But it is not about talent. It's not enough to have talent. It's about refining the talent. And it takes, people who are adequate enough to be able to refine those talents. And what are we doing about refining our talents? That is where we have found one thing.
Big questions have been asked by Coach Abukari Damba, who's here with me. He's played for the Black Stars and he's now a coach. Now, Sam Johnson is also here with me in the studio. You can also join the discussions. Remember, we're having a live stream, and of course, we're live tweeting the show as well on @JoySportsGH. And so you can join the discussions here. Bring in your questions. We'll place them directly to these two fine gentlemen. Remember, it's 0244340437 for the WhatsApp platform as well. Okay, Sam. I mean, you've been agreeing with a lot of the things that your senior has been saying.
I agree 100% with my senior man here, because we miss our way. We miss our way, like he was saying. We started to bring the Europeans into our game because we're thinking maybe a lot of players playing in Europe. So when we bring the Europeans, it will help our football. But not knowing, we are even killing our own style of football that we played in this country. And that is exactly what my senior man is saying. Brazil use Brazilians because they know they play samba football. And we calling Brazil of Africa. There is, I don't know, like he was saying, if you can mention one Brazilian coach who has been here to be with the national team for us to, so it's like we don't have philosophy. We don't have philosophy. Oh, Charlie, you know how to play. You know how to play. Oh, Ghanaians are, individual. Everybody can play. So but we're supposed to build that style so that everybody will know that, okay, Ghana individual, you can't take anybody. But when you bring them together, they are very good. And it's also talking about the refounding the players. He knows in our days, we can go to camp without any tournament. You understand? The Blaster will be in camp without any tournament. We will be there, and then Thursdays we will coming out, and then Monday we are going back. There is no tournament. So always you're building the players. And that is why you see those days that we are strong, we are there. But now all those things is gone. So it's like we don't build what we have because we think, oh, we can call Kwame, we can do this, and then we go and play. And that is what we are missing, and it's killing us and keep going down, and this is where we are now. So I think we need to build what we have. And by building it, like my brother was saying, we need to go back if we need to get our philosophy. And who are going to do that? It's us or somebody who look like us. They will move it and leave this European type of game. You can remember Brazil also went down, like he said, because they started to play like the Europe style. You know, because almost all the players that is coming, they are from Europe. The Brazil first 11 or first 20, all the 22.
Yeah, because so many of them were exported to go and play their professional football with these clubs.
So they started playing the European style, and when the European can get them, they finish them 7-0 and whatever. But now they realize that, hey, Charlie, let's come back to our. And now you can see Brazil is trying to come back, but it's not okay. But he's trying to come back because we want to get back to his samba play and go and move on. So I think we need to know what we have and how we have to build it so that we can move forward.
Okay, so if you just joined us, we're here on the Joy Sports link on Joy 99.7 FM. Send in your messages at 0244-340-437. 0244-340-437. We also have a live stream on Facebook. You can join the discussions as we take a look at what the plan should be, what the policy should be going forward for our national teams. As we speak, all the technical teams of the national teams have been dissolved. There's a restructuring process which will begin soon, and we will get to know what processes people would have to go through to make themselves available for these vacancies, and of course what the way forward will be. Gentlemen, let me begin from you, Sam. What was your initial reaction when you heard that all the teams had been dissolved? Did you agree with it?
Yeah, I don't, because I don't understand why and how. Like, why?
Okay, so the FA president was here and he said that we had recorded a chain of inconsistent performances across board from the Black Stars all the way across, with all the other teams over a certain period. So there was a need for restructuring.
But did he give the why? Like, what is the problem before those things happening?
Okay.
What is the problem before all those flop or all those going down? What happened and everything are going down? Because if now you dissolve it, it's dissolved, and then you call it back, and you are doing those mistakes that you've been doing, it will reflect on them and it will go down again. So everybody need to check himself and see what am I doing wrong? Why this thing is like this? If you check yourself and you see that you are doing the right thing, then you put your hide on that one. I'm doing my own right. Why is it not going on well here? Then you can find. But if you think, they are not doing well, maybe you are the cause and it's reflecting on them. But all the same, it has been done. They should be careful, and when they are coming back, they should come back very strong.
Yeah, Coach, you want to...
If I pick it from this angle, we have a technical directorate, which is headed by a technical director. And all national teams, male and female,
9.7 FM.
the young ages till the senior team, the Black Stars, all come under the technical director. Because every single national team has a head coach and his technical team. Under normal circumstances, structurally, every national team should have a desk, autonomous. Every national team must reflect from the top, and it trickles down. How do you want our national teams to play? And every single coach must, and it is a must, play according to how the technical director structures and wants us to play. Meaning that we have to have a culture.
But this is something we haven't done in the past.
Yes. Never. Every single coach who goes to the national team goes and plays the way he or she wants to play.
Okay, but this is the other thing. So clearly, the leadership of the FA over the years has not empowered the technical directorate
Absolutely.
to have the bite, the strength, and the weight
Absolutely.
to do that.
You can't put it any better than you have put it. The technical directorate is a huge department on its own.
Yeah.
Huge. And every single national team must have a desk. They must have their own secretary. Own secretary. And must be autonomous. But they will all take directives from the technical director as to how we must play. And that is the bottom line. And I think we have missed it all these years.
Yeah.
So if the president says that he wants a restructuring, I cannot agree with him more. Because we need to get things done and done well. We are all talking about philosophy. What is a philosophy, for God's sake? We are talking about how do Ghanaians want to play football. What is our culture? It should be spelled out. Then coaches are taken through the various drills to make them adequately prepared enough to be able to go down that lane. And that's it. Because, for instance, let's take an example. Starlets under 17. They go to camp. They are in camp for 2 months, 3 months, and they go to the tournament. Nobody has an idea as to how Starlets are going to play. Their style of play. We don't have it. When the under 20 satellite are in camp, they prepare and they go to the satellite, what we call the tournament. It is the same thing. Under 23 is the same thing. Up to the senior team, the Black Stars. So we ask ourselves, how do Ghanaians play? What is the style of play of the Ghanaian team or the Ghanaian teams?
We don't have.
It's difficult. So if President says that, you know what, we need to have a complete restructuring. Complete. And the technical directorate is going to be strengthened, well-resourced, with the right personnel. Because yesteryears, I must say to you, Nathaniel, it was a big joke.
Yeah.
It was pathetic. If you went to the office of the technical director, Coach Oti Akenten, and you saw him seated behind his desk, you ask yourself, one personality doing all these jobs, right from juvenile football development onto competition levels. Who is he delegating to? Who is he working with? Very difficult. So I must say Coach Otia Kenten was highly under-resourced. He had many challenges. And he made several calls. He made efforts
99.7 FM.
to be strengthened, to make adequate enough to be able to deliver. But I must say, it was not the case. I hear that the technical director has been moved to Pram Pram, where you can have, the facility is there. You can have enough space. Then a lot of, offices can be created for the various departments.
So good move.
Good move. It's a very, very good move. Yeah. Very, very good move. So whilst even there, they can, improve upon it and make it more functional and modern.
Effective, yeah.
So all the various departments that we need to function technologically, so far as the game is concerned, will have space enough and time to be able to get us to that level. So I think that move, getting us to that office, to that edifice, Pram Pram, Ghanaman Soccer, what we call School of Excellence, I think it's a great, great, great move. And the first step, because Nathaniel, to be honest with you, leadership is very important.
Yeah.
Leadership is very, very important. So if the leader is not taking the right decisions or putting the right people at the right places to function realistically, it's always very difficult.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I think it's a huge step in the right direction. And let us hope that the directorate is adequately resourced adequately resourced. And when it comes to the dissolution of the various national teams, maybe I can understand because of the restructuring. Maybe proper due diligence is going to be done to find out who deserves to be where and whether you are adequately prepared. They will all be taken under orientation. They'll go through orientation to know exactly what we are up to and what is expected of everybody. Everybody will put to the test. Everybody is answerable. So in my opinion, I think it is a good thing to do, but let us hasten it a little bit because time is not on our side, so far as competitive football is concerned. But what? This only this one has to do with only national teams. We are talking about national teams.
Yeah.
But the focus should be on domestic football. How to empower domestic football. And obviously, national teams will benefit.
Well, this is the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. And, that submission was made by Coach Abukari Damba. And also here with us in studio is Sam Johnson, both stars of the Africa Cup of Nations and, people who have donned the national jersey with great pride and yesteryear. Let's take this message from Nathaniel Attoh, who's listening from London. He says, I'm listening online and please ask what is stopping Ghanaian coaches from doing their coaching badges. Now, they played in Europe with Pochettino, Pep, Vieira, and the like. And they have all done their badges and have gone on to coach, whilst our former Ghanaian players all seem to just have the basic coaching badge, UEFA B. Now, after that, they come to Ghana and expect to work with our national teams, and that is not acceptable. Brazil use local coaches because they are very qualified and even work in Europe. How many of our coaches can work in Europe with top teams? Okay, this is a big concern. Now, you've been talking, we'll get into the training structure and what is available, what is not available, and how we should go about it. But tell me, you have done a certain level of training and coaching, both of you. Let's begin with you, Sam. Now, you came to work with Accra Hearts of Oak, your former club, as an assistant coach at a certain point. Have you in any form received any form of external support aside your own resources to do this?
Yeah, when it comes to this kind of, you need to open your eye, yourself. You need to open your eyes and develop yourself through somebody.
Okay.
Because you can't get it, or nobody will call you and tell you, come, let me show you how to do this, how to do that.
Okay.
You also need to open your eyes, and because that is what you choose to do. So you need to go in there and see what you can do and do best for yourself. So it's about you developing yourself and also developing somebody.
I see.
And when you do these things, it makes you, because that you love it. You love to do that. And when maybe your senior coach is doing something, as assistant coach, what do you have to do? You need to learn from him. So I think that is the.
All right. Now, so this texter was raising, various, he was raising a key point here, saying that he compares some of you to your playing colleagues in Europe, and they have gone ahead to do more regarding, So what are the challenges that our ex-players here face when it comes to development of self?
Nathaniel, to be very honest to ourselves, it doesn't mean that if you have played football before or you have played football to the highest level, you can become a good coach. But it all starts from yourself as to whether you want to be a technical person on the pitch. So far as coaching is concerned, practically, you want to become a scout in terms of identifying talent. You want to go into administration, so far as the game is concerned. or you want to get yourself involved with other aspects of, of the game. And we have different sectors. But in as much as you identify where you want, to develop yourself, you need to prepare yourself adequately. The first step starts with yourself. How are you preparing yourself for the tasks ahead? It's very important. You just don't come up and say, once a footballer, I can go into coaching and I will deliver. It is not true. It is not done anywhere. Playing is very different from coaching. They are two different things. Imagining it is one thing. Applying it is another. Teaching it is another. There are two things, the teaching and the learning.
Well, at a certain point, your captain of the Black Stars, at that time, the legendary Abedi Pele, said it, that look, I remember we played that interview here, that, he's played the game, he knows it in, out, left, right, center. Well, so, it's difficult going to, learn. I mean, and it means that you disagree with what he said.
I will tell you, yes, in a way I have disagreed, and I will explain why. Then Diego Maradona would have won the World Cup.
Yeah.
Because he was one of the finest players that we ever had. Let me just digress a little bit and speak about my former captain, Abedi Pele. There was once upon a time where on his training grounds, and a game was being played. Nathaniel Attoh was playing, and Pele was sitting on the bench, and because of his passion, his love for the game, and when it comes to the game, Pele is so emotional.
Yeah.
And you can't take it away from him. Sometimes he does things unconsciously, but just because it is in him. But you have got to understand one thing. Thinking like a player is different from thinking like a coach. Just as it is different, the thinking of a CEO or a director of a club. That is different. You have to be trained to think like a coach. You have got to be trained to reason like a coach. You as a former player, you know very well this is how I control the ball, and with this type of a pass, I can get it right. You are thinking, that's in your mind, is going on in your system. But as to how applicable it is another thing. You know how to do it. So you think it is as easy as that, as easy for any other player to be able to do it the way you know how to do it. But no, don't assume. No, players are not all the same. Never. You must teach them. And the process of teaching is the question. The process is the question. But you need to be trained to be able to go through the various ranks as to how to teach, how to control and pass.
Well, at least a few, they may be a handful, but, so immediately you're looking at the late Stephen Keshi, you're looking at Franz Beckenbauer, you're looking at Didier Deschamps. At least they have given proof that it is very possible to, be an exceptional player and also be an exceptional coach.
That is very true. Just as you could be an exceptional player, you can likewise be an exceptional coach, but very rarely. Very rare. But we have to agree that the transition of being a player to becoming a coach, you need to go through the various regimen. It's a fact of the matter. It's a fact.
You end up
because
fighting
if
with
you
the
tell
players.
me, if you tell me that I have gone to the medical school and I'm a doctor, yeah, maybe doctors who deal with cardio, they are specialists, isn't it?
Sure.
We have doctors, gynecologists, they are specialists. But just because I'm into medical school, you tell me that I can just go and, when it's about gynecology, I can go and do anything about gynecology. No. It's about specializing in the various departments. Specialize in wherever you find yourself. You specialized as a player. You need to specialize as a coach. Because now you are impacting knowledge into players to be practical. You know, if I tell you what, I was once a goalkeeper, specialty, goalkeeping, but I started my coaching career at the twilight of my playing days back in Asia, and I started it with Peter Shilton of England. He had come briefly to Malaysia to hold some coaching clinics. I was still active back then, but my head coach, Ken Shelito, told me, Damba, the opportunity is here. Please, can you go and have a feel of it? I thought, why? I'm a goalkeeper. I know what it means to be a goalkeeper. But I said, no, go there. So I went and I had a stint with him. And I realized that being a main actor is different from teaching. That was even at that level. So I continued it until I came back to Ghana. At that time, I did not have any coaching badge. I had not, apart from the orientation that I had abroad, I had to start all over again from here. But it is not enough that because I was once a goalkeeper, I go and I do goalkeeping coaching courses or goalkeeping licenses. It is not enough to even be a recognized goalkeepers trainer. I need to do what we call general coaching. Because to be able to be an effective goalkeeper, you need to understand tactics. You need to understand strategy. You need to understand what a system of play is. But that is just from the aspect of goalkeeping. So you see how important it is that you need to prepare yourself adequately to ascend to certain positions if you want to be among the best. Then from that level I had to do, and at that time it was not license, it was about certification. Until the introduction of the license C, where we did the license C, we went and did the license B, and then the license A. I did my license A since 2013. But that is not enough. Acquiring the license is one thing. And being able to work with the license is another thing. In as much as you acquire the license, how are you making yourself relevant so far as the game is concerned? Because the game is evolving every day. The game is becoming faster and faster. The rules are changing. For which reason, we have to agree that we need to get ourselves, renew our mindset all the time. And that is the fact of the matter, Nathaniel. It's not enough to say, oh, I have acquired license A. So what? So what? How are you making it functional? It's very important.
Now, Sam, tell me, Coach has raised some very key points here about the structure where we need to have constant upgrading of the expertise of these coaches. The FA has outlined a plan, especially for those in the Premier League, the top 6, the top 4, who will be sent out to upgrade after every season. That's for me, I think, is a very good plan. Now, for our national teams as well, what kind of structure would you want to see run regarding how the FA handles training and retraining of our coaches of the national teams?
Yeah, like my brother said from the beginning, the technical, everything depends on the technical director. He just need to be strong. We need to structure that particular sector so that he will take control over these national coaches. He will know the kind of football he wants the country to play, both from the women team, all the national teams. We should have one style of game that when we are coming, you know that you can even sleep. You know that Ghana is going to do this, and when we have this kind of thing, he will know the kind of coaches. Okay, maybe during the local matches or something, he knows the kind of coaches that we know that we have to upgrade these coaches so that maybe be 5 or 6 coaches so that we can put these coaches into our national teams and let them know exactly what they want to do. But without that, like he said, this one will do his own thing. This one will go and bring his own thing and do it without the structure for us to, one line for all of us to move on and keep we have our own game that we play as a national team. And when we do that, I think that will help a lot. So we need to strengthen the technical side so that he will have all that he needs to pick exactly people that he think or people that will be valuable for the nation. In general, when it comes to the national, teams.
Well, okay, so there's a message here from Owusu Bempa, and he says, greetings to Sam and Damba. I watched Sam make his Black Stars debut in Kumasi 2nd September 1990 in a 1-0 win over Super Eagles, and in Senegal, in a Senegal 92 AFCON qualifier. And he came on as a second half substitute for Winston Kofi Abre. Damba was a reserve goalkeeper on the day. Oh, and Owusu Bempa is just an encyclopedia. He'll remind us of, and he says also that coaching and education and football administration have now become very academic. Unfortunately, however, most of our African and and current Black Stars players lack that academic aspect needed for the next level after their playing careers. Okay, thank you very much, Owusu Bempa. This is something rather interesting. Now, as a collective, what kind of advocacy are you, the ex-players, doing amongst yourselves? You've laid it bare. Obviously, there are many branches. Coaching is not the only area. Yeah. Look, we see currently Lai Kingston is doing wonderful stuff with his former, Dutch club. Yeah. We have a few other players who are doing other things, regarding football and the big mix. You two are into coaching. Now, is it that it has not been attractive enough, or there's not much inspiration? Because I look back and mention names like mention names like Sam Ade, Cecil Jones, Atukwe Fio, and these Herbert Addo. These were people who achieved the numbers. They were up there as well regarding upgrading themselves and getting themselves up there. So is it that the inspiration maybe was not enough, or what exactly is it?
Well, let me put it this way. The names that you just mentioned, yes, were coaches who, I must say, who were supported. Apart from supporting themselves, they had every single support, to get to the levels that they got to, and they were able to deliver at the highest level. But Nathaniel, coaching has its own dynamics. I should think that structurally we need to have categories of coaches. Our coaches must be categorized. We should have category A coaches, category B coaches, category C coaches. We should have development coaches, and these coaches are specialized in development according to the age category.
Okay.
We need to have these structures in place. And coaches will work accordingly. What is it that they need to get to that level? You made, I don't know, is it Bemper's text that you read?
Yes.
Talking about, the argument, getting yourselves adequately prepared to get to whichever levels that you want to get yourself.
The first message, yeah.
Fantastic. I think it's a fantastic point.
Yeah.
It is very true. We have lots of our mates, legends, ex-football players who have ventured into coaching. You talked about Lai Kingston. You talk about Gordon Attoh. You are talking about John Pencil. You are talking about the young ones. Just mention them to me. And they are doing fantastically well at their levels. Very, very well. What are we doing to consolidate that? What are we doing to assist it? What are we doing to get them to the next level? Have we just left them to their fate? Conscious efforts must be made to bring all these individuals together to upgrade them to another level. We can't just leave it to them that okay, you do whatever you want to do. Anytime we need your services, we'll bring you. No. Conscious efforts must be made. They are identified and they are put together and of course educated to the highest level because the nation wants to use them. This is very, very important.
Sorry to cut you. Like my brother was saying, look, these young ones, for me, before you can see under 17, you see the old age man controlling under 17. And under 17, once you need to teach them more, you need somebody who can kick, somebody who is active, you understand me, to move with them. But maybe if I'm 60 and you put me to under 17 and there is it's something that I need to exhibit for them to understand exactly what I'm doing. You remember Bukar was kicking.
Yeah.
And if you see the way he's kicking, you have to kick like him. Even with the senior ones. So these are some of the mistakes.
At that time, Sam Johnson, you are not a senior, but you are still a junior player.
But we are in the national team.
Yeah.
The senior national team.
Yeah.
You understand?
That's just a joke.
Yeah, the senior national team. And he's kicking. So I think we made the mistake from far. Because these young ones
I think the point you want to make is that we need to have players or coaches who can demonstrate.
as well.
These young ones,
they can demonstrate.
These young ones need to be developed and give it to them because they are doing well, and they are still young that they can do what they can teach more.
Okay.
So we develop them and put them there.
So you're talking the Painstils, the Lai Kingsons, the Godwin Trumps,
the Odate Lamptons. These are all individuals. I'm talking about doing very well in their own way. They have prepared themselves adequately enough to kickstart. So these are coaches that we can put together going forward, prepare them for the future. And these are our own Ghanaian
coaches,
legends who have played the game to the highest level and they have gotten themselves into coaching and of course are prepared to take off to the next level. And we need to make conscious efforts to prepare them to be ready to take over and get us to the level that we want to get ourselves to.
Coach, you, for instance, have made yourself ready over a certain period. So, for instance, the technical director position, if it's, opened up, is this something you, for instance, will be interested in?
I'll tell you honestly, I'm not interested in administration.
Okay.
I'm a technical person. For which reason, I did my CAF badges. I had the opportunity to go abroad, specifically Holland, to go and do my European courses and all that. Of course. But I am happy that I am more into the academics, especially teaching. I was also enrolled to become one of the assistant instructors. Slowly, then I was ascended. I progressed to become an instructor. And we, of course, together with the Dutch National,
Federation.
We had a collaborative program that we did here in Ghana for the northern and southern sectors, so far as the schools were concerned, the GHS and the SSS and so on and so forth. That we educated coaches, hitherto those who wanted to take coaching as a profession, and even educate the teachers who somehow during sports, lessons, had no idea as to what to do so far as the various games were concerned. We gave them, especially football, as to what to do, the approach, what to do, depending on the age category that you are dealing with. We gave them some kind of orientation as to how to go about it. So for me, I'm happy with what I'm doing so far as the academics, the practical aspect is concerned.
So yours is more of the retraining of technical minds in football.
Absolutely.
That is what you're interested in.
Absolutely.
I see. But that also aligns with a place like the technical director.
I do agree. But
you're not. It's not something you're interested
in. It puts you more practical.
Yeah. Okay.
Puts you more on the pitch. Yes, I am happy, even with the current technical director and so on and so forth. I've been integrated into, having some of these courses. Sometimes I'm invited to do the last FIFA women's course that we had in Ghana here. I was one of the resource persons. I'd gone to lecture on specifics, goalkeeping, and all that. So these are the things that we are looking at. All of us cannot be field coaches at the same time. But how can our expertise be tapped and brought, functionally to make the game a better, to make the game better? So this is what we are looking at. Let us identify ourselves. We should be identified and see how we can be used functionally. Functionally. One person cannot do the job. Yeah. But which are the different sectors that we need to bring together to make it holistically professional?
Damba is making a very great point, and I want to talk with, everybody is thinking about coaching, but we have another things that the coach will even need, like physical instructor. Nobody is even thinking about it. But in Europe, they have their physical instructor, they have this, they have that. So there are so many things to do without, you can be on the field as a practical person, but if the physical side comes, maybe you need to do any physical thing, the coach knows that this is my instructor, he is taking you on, and then you are doing it, and then you are going. You understand me? But here we see those things like, okay, because I play football, Damba is a coach, I'm an assistant coach, and then he just asked me to take them on. Then I say, okay, run. We are running this kind of running. We are doing this without knowing whether I'm even killing the players or developing their strength. We need to know how all these people who knows the kind of running you have to run after the game, the kind of running you have to run before the game, the kind of everything need to be done, not only being on the field.
So the other thing then is that a lot of the players, your mates and all, are focusing more on being the main coach, the head coach of the side, when there are branches and other areas.
That is what we
are video about. Analysis, like he's saying, technical, the physical training, all of those.
Good. I tell you what, football has different departments. The player needs to be fit. And when we talk about fitness, we have psychological fitness, and the psychologist should be involved. We have physical fitness. And when we talk about physical fitness, we are talking about the physiology and anatomy, developing the various relevant muscles to be ready for the various actions. Football actions. You need a specialist to be able to do this. We are talking about technical fitness, and that is where the job on the pitch it comes to play. And even with the technical fitness, we are talking about functional technical fitness. The back line, the midfield, the attacking line. You have various coaches who are specialized in doing all these things. Then at the end of it all, the manager comes and he blends everything. Then now, how do we play as a team? So every particular individual has a job to do. Specifics, specialized. Then we are now talking about holistic team building. But these things are functional, and you must train individuals to specialize in these particular areas so as to have a functional and a professional team that is working very, very well to give us results. And of course, good performance.
Well, if you just joined us, we're here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM, 17 minutes past 1 p.m. We're going till 2. So you send in your messages, 0244340437, 340-437. Also joining us here in studio is a seasoned broadcaster, PR practitioner, and also also a lecturer, in communication studies. Carl Tufo is here with us. Carl, thank you so much for your time. Great to have you in the studio.
Let's clear a few things. You can't ambush me.
Okay, so before Carl goes ahead, the Joy Sports link is structured such that once in a while, I mean, we have drive-through contributors as well. I mean, the conversation becomes so gripping, and people, we're all interested, and we all want to contribute to the discourse such that we have drive-ins sometimes, and so but joining us, but he's joined us, hasn't he?
If it's driving,
whether it's for 2 minutes,
if it's driving or not, I mean, then why wasn't I there yesterday?
No. The 25th anniversary.
I know.
It's a year-long celebration.
I understand that. May 1st was the first time we actually started broadcasting from here.
Yeah. So May 1st
the
is
first and the oldest running program on this station started on the 6th of May. Sports Link.
Wow.
You can check. It was a Saturday, 1995. But
Great.
that notwithstanding, having heard what this gentleman has to say, Abukari Damba, being supported by Sam Johnson, what can I say? In fact, that's what even actually made me, because I'm on my way to a wedding. And the truth of the matter is, they make so much sense. It's better to be listening whilst you're here rather than the link. Not everybody can be here. But sincerely, it's blown my mind. They've put in things that people barely think of. They've said things that I read about but do not actually actualize it till now. I mean, what he spoke about, going off to the Far East, meeting up or understudying Peter Shilton. Many guys won't know Peter Shilton, so I thought that maybe he should have explained to him.
Yeah, the millennials
will have some problem because but Shilton,
he's a former goalie of the Three Lions, the English, fantastic goalkeeper.
Brilliant goalkeeper.
And
ironically, he was what Ghanaians will call K-legged. Yet he was super. Okay, and having been there, and then coming back and still starting all over again, and I'm quoting his words. It blows my mind because as a media practitioner or as a non-footballer, unlike these two, I'd have thought that if I had some level of training under Alex Ferguson, under Arsene Wenger, under Pep Guardiola, that alone would warrant that I should also start doing something. You understand? That's the way many of us on the other side think.
Sure.
And I hope those who are listening have listened to them because they've explained the way it is and the way it should be. For he who played at the highest level, he played at the other highest level. But I'm talking, for those who can't see, I'm talking about Abukari Damba and Sam Johnson. And now going to get coaching badges and going on and on and on. It doesn't mean that you are the ultimate. You are the, sorry to say, the Kwesi Appiah.
Yeah.
There's the Ibrahim Tanko. There's the Maxwell Kunedu.
Yeah.
There's that video, whatever it is. There's that fitness, whatever it is.
There's a psychologist to know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be good, which is what I've been advocating for all these years, that if those positions were handled by, sorry, with all due respect to the others, ex-footballers? Because when I came back from the UK as a boy, most of our coaches at the time, and they've done a fantastic job, were not necessarily players.
Yeah.
And I've always maintained that it is only a footballer who knows what it feels like when somebody kicks you on the knee. You know the pain. You can't sit down on the other side, never experienced it before, and then start talking, sorry to use the language, rubbish. So if this is an ex-footballer and he's been to the drill, and he decides to take up his coaching badges, then for me, I'd listen to that person more than one who hasn't actually done it before. And this is not to take away from the likes of Samadi, J.E. Adebi,
Herbert
Attoh.
Yeah.
Those who may not necessarily have played at the level that Sami and Abukari played. But we've gone beyond that to this era, and you're talking about millennials.
Yeah.
They have played here, they have played out there. So regardless of what anybody can say, they've got a little something to impart. Obviously, these days, for me, I find it quite upsetting, but these days, they're insisting you go and do a badge. That's the norm of the world. But I will still maintain that there are some people out there who do not necessarily have to do the badge. But for me, the condition will have to be that they should have played the game at the level that we expected. And so for me, it just blew my mind. I almost even crashed the car. Listening. It was awesome, deep, and absolutely fantastic. These are the sort of things I think we should start focusing on. Obviously, we can't run away from the controversial issues. Like GBC and Saka. And Jeffrey.
I mean, it's and of course, look, we were just last week around this time we're talking about this the fact that people are. There's a certain level of interest that we all need to nurture. That we see it in pockets around, but then we need to nurture it. And of course, this can be sparked a great deal when there is live television and the games are there to be consumed. And so when we got the assurance, we were happy. Then during the week, this whole thing between GBC and Star Times comes up, and I'm looking at the situation where this starts off. I'll be monitoring. We'll all be monitoring when the coverage starts, and then we'll see what it is that GBC was talking about. Because you see, there was a certain level of technical assistance that GBC was rendering. They say we're not doing it this time around. Wow. So you go ahead, do your thing. Let's see, because
I can say without fear of equivocation. I can say without fear of equivocation. That certain level that you're talking about was very high. It was extremely high. I'm sure Abukari, some may not be aware of it, but Abukari will be aware of it. Extremely high. So it worries me to the bone.
And in percentages, 80.
Somewhere there, 70 to 80.
That's massive.
Yeah. Somewhere there, 70 to 80.
That is massive.
And that's what worries me.
Yeah.
But you can overcome it if the FA and if the viewer out there is not too fussy to allow for errors here and there. Because it's out of the errors that you improve yourself. But I'll bet my last peswa, it won't be so. There'll be, listen, you sit here, Abukari sits here, Sam sits here, you watch the quality of the coverage out there. You become used to it.
Yeah.
Listen.
And then last night I made this point on First Take between 7 and 8 p.m. that now, I mean, a contract has been signed, so then work needs to be done. And now everybody, me, from where I sit in this whole big mix, mine is about the quality that we're giving to the people and the kind of quality that's being churned out. Because I stroll back to the Wafu tournament that was hosted at the Cape Coast Stadium, and sometimes you ask yourself, look, if we could get the league to be produced this way, I mean, to this level of quality. I mean, the Fox Wafu tournament was amazing. I mean, television viewing was such a wonderful experience. I mean, I worked with the team as host for the official draw for the Wafu tournament. The level of planning, the level of execution, and all of that. And then I'm asking myself, okay, so then what I'm expecting is that if Star Times is coming on board, then this is the kind of level that we're expecting.
The problem is the relationship between the two that had been developed previously. So when it was going on and you were seeing it, you would think that, but like I said, about 70 to 80% of it came from GBC. And that, if they are withdrawing all those people, then there's going to be a slight decline. We can't run away from that. And are Ghanaians prepared to accept that decline, having been used to what we're seeing. And I'll give you an example. For the first time in almost, and this is shocking, I'm sure, for the first time in almost 3.5, 4 years, I actually went to the stadium to go and watch Legon Cities versus Kotoko. It took a long time for people to convince me. I didn't even get there from the beginning. I went there, I went and stood on the gantry, and the moment I stood there, I felt something funny. Then somebody calls me, I turn, and it's a goal, and my instinct, the first thing was that
Video.
you understand me? I'm looking for a replay somewhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And because we've all seen the VR, so we just kept on. I'm looking for it. And that's what I'm saying, that the Ghanaian
Upset.
may not necessarily accept any mediocrity. But if they want this to go ahead, then they must be prepared for a few hitches along the way as Star Times or whoever it will be begins to improve upon itself. Listen here, when we started Joy FM here, it was absolutely, I'm sorry to say, rubbish. For 2 months. That was from March till May 1st.
Wow.
At Ajankote, there were mistakes being made here and there, but it built up from there, and then we got to this.
Yeah.
Is the Ghanaian public prepared for that? Even me, I've been in this business since 1988.
Wow.
And I should be at the stadium, because the one thing I was taught by those old guys was that if you are at the stadium and you are doing your official job, you are always focusing. Don't let others distract you. And here I was, I've been adhering to it, and here I was saying something.
1 second.
And then bang goes the, and I'm suddenly wondering what happened.
Yeah.
That's the problem, and
What
that's
did
what
it
Ghanaians may not necessarily accept, and that's my worry for this thing that's going on.
Yeah, so the Joy Sports link today is assuming an ambush, character, So let me ambush one more person. Good old Malco Afajinu. Malco Afajinu is a journalist, he's a broadcaster, he's a lecturer, a PR and marketing practitioner.
Let me interrupt you there.
And on a crown
For the record books.
Yeah.
Malco Afajinu, apart from the fact that he's married to a Motown girl, was my lecturer.
Really?
Was my lecturer.
Okay, so that makes two of us.
What?
That makes two of us.
He was my lecturer. I'm not going to run away from it. The same Malco Afajinu was the same gentleman who helped us in the year 2000 create a cacophony of noise here.
Yeah.
The day before Hearts of Oak won the Champions League. He, Gabi Ajete, there was this white American guy who stood back and said he has never seen such craziness in the studio before.
Yeah.
This guy has taught me a lot.
Charlie, so that means we should play some fanfare when we're introducing Malco the next time.
Absolutely. That's it.
And away from all of that, Malco is also president of Ghana Table Tennis. So a very
And the president of IPR Ghana.
Yes, I was going to bring all of that. So so many credentials to So if he were a boxer, his introduction, pre-fight would have been very interesting. Malco, you operate within the financial sector. From away from that as well, you look at all of this with the marketing eye, and you also look at this from the consumer's eye as well. So you have a fair idea of what you want to see regarding how our league will be packaged. I mean, we've been talking about coaching all the while, but of course, Abubakar Idamba made the point about the league, the local league, and its contribution to the eventual picture we want to see with our coaching at the national level. So then we've zoomed in on this discussion, this long-running discussion about television coverage and how much quality we're expecting. What would you want to see? I mean,
let me say a very big thank you to all of you for the very, very kind words. A big happy new year to all the wonderful people out there. And start from a point where Carl left off. So I strayed to the Accra Sports Stadium the previous Friday, and I wasn't going to see the game. I had a meeting there, and the person said, "Meet me at the Accra Sports Stadium." And you see, if the spirit is within you, once you get there, you get caught up. So I ended up seeing about 90% of the game, and I was amazed at the turnout, amazed at the energy and the belief. And for me, it told me that, see, the passion for the game is latent. With the right moves, we can bring it back again. Because there I saw the game. In fact, I said I was going to stay there for no more than 15 minutes. I ended up seeing the whole first half. I stayed all the way up to the 80th minute before I left the stadium. Now, I was looking across from where I was sitting. There were portions of the stadium that was empty. But taken together on a Friday evening, first match of the game, Kotoko versus some startups.
Yeah.
I mean,
Legon Cities, you mean?
Legon Cities. Legon Cities is very
Who have
new.
now introduced a new kind of razzmatazz in procession to the stadium.
And I
all of
love
that.
the
Yeah,
energy. It's
yeah.
good. I mean, it reminds me back in the day. And see, you know, as they keep saying, there's nothing new under the sun. I
Exactly.
mean, good old days. Back in the day, I was telling somebody about Mama Quest's mother's cocoa that was poured at Texaco.
For attempting to move to Kotoko.
For missing a penalty.
Yeah.
You know, at Was, where old
Yeah.
Was used to be.
Yeah.
And you remember back in the day, I mean, the half across of folk would have to come to the Nete's house for prayers
Yeah.
before they go to the stadium. And there is an informal procession all the way from here to the stadium. So it's not like it's new, but the fact that they are bringing it back tells us that the spirit is there. We just need to do the right things to tap into it and to bring back the passion and let people believe. Because you see, truth of the matter is that we've been exposed to a lot of foreign elements and foreign football, and we didn't protect ourselves. Back to Gandhi back in the day. He says, look, he's not going to build walls around his house, but he will allow the winds of all countries to flow around his house, but he will not be blown off his feet by them. We've been blown off our feet by them. We need to find ways. The feeling is there, the passion is there, the belief is there, with the right moves and structures, predicated on a very solid program. I believe that we might not go back to the good old days, but we can get somewhere very good for this country.
Absolutely.
Interesting stuff there. You send in your messages as well. Remember, it's 0244-340-437, 0244-340-437. Banana from Danubian Fashion Center says it's not the financial proposal which matters. It's if your technical proposal does not make the mark during the evaluation stage, the financial proposal is not considered at all under the procurement law. So GBC should tell us whether their technical proposal was evaluated and it was better than that of Star Times.
Well, we don't know about that, so we can only conjecture. Or,
exactly.
We just keep quiet about it. But I do know, having worked with various media houses, Metro, Joy, or Multimedia, and GBC, their technical team is damn good. You can't run away from that fact. As to whether the financial aspect of it, I don't know. Normally, people are swayed by. But I've heard Tamimu speak on various networks explaining that GBC didn't present theirs on time. But then if you've opened, the question that I've been asking is that if I didn't present at the right time, but then you open or give me another opportunity to bring it in, then the critical thing at the end of the day, we can't run away. It's financial. It has to be money. The English Premier League in Ghana, in the UK itself, both Sky and ITV, £5.4 billion over the 3 years, and then worldwide coverage, another 3-point-something billion pounds. But what people need to realize is that even in spite of the 5.4 and the 3.4, there's still Amazon Prime has come in as well and are now streaming the matches or specific matches, particularly during the holiday fever.
Precisely.
And they pay that, bringing in more. So they're looking at ways in which it's no more like looking for exclusivity, but they're looking at ways in which they can bring in others
and further monetize the product.
Absolutely, to reap in. And that's why it's the most marketed and it's the most watched league in the world. Question is, what are we learning from it? Both the FA and the broadcasters. And then, dare I say, new media, social media. What can we get out of it? Because
let me ask you this. Do you at a certain point feel that we probably will hit a stage where Star Times will say, look, we're ready to open up. Let's get back to the negotiation table. We do have a contract I mean, two parties have agreed. Let's get back and see how we can open this up in a certain way.
They will, because if the product, if you're not producing what is expected, and the membranes increase, then you're going to have a problem when it comes to renewal of that contract. You already have a contract, so that's assured. But you're looking at it in terms of the long term. Sky, ITV, let me give you a little history. ITV and BBC used to have the rights because they were the only free on air in the UK. And then in 1987, ITV usurped BBC. That for the 1988 to 1992, they were going to be the sole people who were going to have sole rights to watch. Ironically, Sky started in 1988. That's Sky Sports. Sky needed something to get subscribers to them because they were new. So when in 1991 the bid came up again, Sky blew ITV out of the water and had it for themselves. Sole rights for themselves. Somewhere in 2005, 2006, the Irish station Setanta also came in, took part of it.
And I particularly enjoyed the highlights,
But they were
formats
not
and all.
able to get the necessary number of viewers and subscribers to justify the outlay.
Okay.
And then they lost out. It came down to Ghana. If you remember, was it CBS or
GBS?
GBS,
yes. GBS.
GBS took the franchise of the key matches from no mean a station like Super Sport.
Sure.
And couldn't deliver because people were not subscribing to it. So the English Premier League, in not giving me what I need, said, okay, then I'm taking it away. And then that's how come Super Sports got it back. And I've had that monopoly. Out in the UK, it wasn't so for Sky. Once Setanta had collapsed, BT Sports came in. And since then, they've been jockeying with each other. Sky is still winning the race as far as the major matches are concerned. BT comes in. But the situation has changed. It has changed in the sense that Sky also had one Spanish league, two Champions League. Guess what? From 2016 to 2019, when the bid came up in 2015, BT blew them out of the water. And so now BT Sports has the sole rights to the Champions League. And when the thing came up again for renewal in 2018, for 2019 to 2024, BT blew them out of the water. So you can see the way it is now. And when it comes to these new media people, Amazon Prime and all those things, they're also coming in. So it is for the FA to look at all possibilities. They say they need money. They need money to get our people employed. That is the players. They need money to give it to the club for the clubs to become better. Then they've got to explore all possibilities and see where they can rake in so much. Because that is the sustenance that the clubs will depend on. And I believe you me, if start times do not deliver, the clubs will go hell. And if Kurt is not careful, you know what can happen at the next Congress.
Well, about 15 minutes more to go for the wrap-up of the show. Now, many other angles are coming in for this discussion. I mean, we have zoomed in on the Premier League a little earlier than the coaches are here, and a cap has been set for those who will coach in the Ghana Premier League. It was very much welcome. I mean, we had a few early casualties ahead of the start of the season, but then now there's a certain base or a certain level, which is everybody must be a license A, holder, which is a welcome thing, isn't it?
I suppose so. With the club licensing system, we want to progress so far as the game is concerned. Just as we earlier on mentioned, the game is evolved, it has become technological, and for which reasons you need to have coaches who are scientific, whether we like it or not, whether there are casualties or not. But the fact is that we want to remain competitive in the world, and we need to deal with the details. And I think this one is non-negotiable. It is non-negotiable. And I think we can only build on it, make ourselves better, because the opportunities are there to always, make ourselves adequate enough to withstand the modern trends and the change of trends.
Now, talk about the support bit, which is the money bit. I mean, Malco also falls in that area, and so then we'll come. That question comes up. That okay, look. Your institution, for instance, when you get out of Ghana, you go to a place like Botswana, for instance. They have a club like Township Rollers that they are supporting. So, considering that certain measures compliance-wise are being met, and there is a conscious effort to improve upon the product that we're selling to the public, what then will stop a Stambik, for instance, to come on board one of the clubs or pick an aspect of the league to sponsor?
Absolutely nothing. I mean, in the past, we've been at great pains to try and get an arrangement that works. We tried to structure something around Haas and Kotoko together, because in South Africa over the years we've done it for Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs together, and we thought that was a model we could replicate here, but of course there were difficulties on the ground, and that's why we are excited by this new wave, and we think it's very interesting to the extent that professionalism is evident and it's pervasive. It's so very easy for corporates to be attracted to wonderful properties such as this. There are two sides to it. Invariably, you would have to secure and invest into a property. And that's what Star Times have done with the sponsorship deal. Now, beyond that, you need also to invest. It's like you're going to get an oil block. You pay money to buy the block, and you pay money to get the oil out of the ground. Now, getting the oil out of the ground is the next stage. And I hope that in this whole contract situation, there are performance clauses that stipulates what Star Times must deliver on. To the extent that they deliver on that, then the game is able to grow, GF is happy, stakeholders are excited. And if it's not there, I believe there will be opportunities to insert those. But in the corporate space where I come from, when you have a hot, exciting property that draws people, as I saw in the stadium, and a lot more of that, I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a natural pool. That's the place you want to go, because you are always interested in connecting with the people who are important to you.
I'll tell you one thing.
So to our friends at the FA who are listening, I mean, the president of the FA was here last week. So we've given you more leads. That's as if no conversations are already going on in the background.
Let me tell you one thing. If I don't like to bootleg, and I will certainly not do that. At least he knows, and he knows. That's Abuka Damba and Malco. But the person you're dealing with is somebody who knows some level of marketing.
Yeah.
And not only him. Randy is also there. Yeah. So there are whole people who know how they're going to convince the likes of Malco and company to come in. It's where we'll see how good they are. Because the question that will be asked is, what do I get in return?
Yeah.
That's the key thing. Listen, they're not here to just give out people's money. Because note,
Exactly.
it's not Stambik's money.
Precisely.
It's people's money that have been saved in there. So they'll ask. People think, oh, Ghana, for instance, or Black Stars has a contract with Adidas. Do you know why Adidas and the rest were paying 100,000 and not paying more? Because Adidas knows that in this country, rather than you going to buy the authentic Adidas Black Star jersey, you will go and sew it, and then they won't be getting their money. In Brazil, they signed a contract for 10 years. Nike, $400 million, $40 million. This was outrageous. It ends. Well, I think it's ended now. I think that they are looking for a renewal this year. Back then, $400 million, because the Brazilians will go and buy the authentic thing and wear. Even in Nigeria, where we know they like to sew, Nike changed it and gave them a bit more than normal because the numbers involved in it. That's what Malco and the rest will be asking for. Stambik would also be conscious, or must be conscious, that there's a new South African bank in here. They'll probably be looking for a place to come in. When I say South African bank, you know what I mean by APSA.
And of course.
Yeah. So hopefully this should, but it will all depend on how the FA can convince Stambik, Barclays, whatever they are called, to move in there, sponsor MTN, whatever it is. That's key. It's not going to be like you're going to sit down and say, I've given you this product. Then there are naming rights. The league is called what? MTN have bought the naming rights for the FA Cup. So it's the MTN FA Cup. In England, it's the Emirates FA Cup. Naming rights are different from broadcast rights, are different from how do you call that thing? Inner perimeter for, advertising. And come on, let's move to the next level. These days, nobody puts wooden things around the stadium so that it's there permanently.
It's not electronic.
You pay more, you get more by having the rolling one, the digital one. Every 10 seconds, every 20 seconds, whichever one you do it. So that when the camera is even focusing on the Sub Johnson and Abu Kaidam as they are playing, it still sees the thing behind there. That's the thing that they'll be asking for. You're not going to be sitting there and asking for wooden advertising hoarding.
So at least we've made some headway here. You know, there is the willingness on the part, and of course, you know, all that needs to be done to back it up will be, you know, packaging the product, repackaging, and of course, that is something that has been echoed and re-echoed. Let's see how all of it goes. We're getting towards the top of the hour. I will open the phone lines, get about 5 phone calls added to all the final discussions that we're going to have here on the Joy Sports link. Now, earlier there was you know, a submission that you made regarding the explanations that were given by the spokesperson of the FA, Tamim Muisa, who said that GBC did not submit their you know, on time. This it may be gone. This matter may be that of the past, but I mean, we all talk about ethics and following rules and regulations and all of that, and sometimes you ask yourself, so why at all, you know, didn't we just follow procedure and just fall within the time? Because it's, you know, it's all part of it.
Ghana for you, even though I'm sorry to say it's ridiculous. Ghana for you. But the truth of the matter is that.
But of course, in moving forward, we need to stop singing.
I'm not denying that.
You know,
I'm not
like
denying that. But then again, too, if that was the case, then also, why did the FA open it for further whatnot? If the timelines are, because I don't know, I'm speculating here. It could be that they were probably seeing more of the green Benjamin Franklin's. But you never know. But that's why I'm saying that the FA, if they had been tough, as it were, or business-like, then probably would have maintained it. But hey, I don't know. I'm not there. Tamimu, Kurt, Randy, and the rest will be best able to explain that.
0302-216-541. 0302-216-541. Get through to us. Let's have a conversation together as we wrap up the show. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
My name is Nathaniel.
My name is Mike.
Nice to meet you, Mike. Please go ahead.
Mike Bonso.
Oh, Mike. Oh, Uncle Mike, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
I think you guys have had very good conversation, good contribution from Sam Johnson, Coach Abukari, and the two gentlemen came in car, and I think they but I just want to talk about something that Carl, you know, contributed. I believe that BT Sports was able to blow out Sky, not just in terms of money, but for BT Sports to go in there, they equip themselves with all the digital equipment that will enable the provider of the content to be comfortable in addition to the money. What I think now is that if GTV can come up with $5.5 million, why don't they invest that money into GBC, equip themselves, get all the robot cameras, get all the overhead cameras, get all the digital equipment. Then, when they're ready to go in and bid for anything, yes, they will be in a position, you know, to compete because they have the personnel. But I think they lack certain equipment. The other thing they can also do with this money, for example, like Car Studio, why don't they put in that money, build an ultra-modern studio that when discussions are coming from there, it will be more appealing to people watching television. This is what I think GTV should do now at this stage. Because right now they've revealed to the whole world that they can raise 5.5 million within 5 years. I think they should do that and put that money into re-equipping themselves. Because I don't want to make comparison with other states who are 2, 3, 4 years old. But if you look at the equipment, they are much better than GTV. But GTV has the personnel. So this is what I just want to contribute.
All right. Thank you so much, Uncle Mike. Thank you so much, Mr. Mike Bonso. 0302216541. Our next caller on the line. Hello, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on the Joy Sports Link.
Yeah, good afternoon, Matt. Yeah, this is Joseph Inko calling from Sunyani.
Great to have you.
Yeah, thank you. Let me first of all say hi to my boss, Carl, and Happy New Year to all your listeners. I personally think it's good news that the local league that a lot of people were thinking is of a low standard. We now have some sponsors fighting over the rights. So it means if we are to do things right, we will be able to go from strength to strength. And as to whether we need a foreign or local coach, I would like to take it from this angle. I think we need to first of all outline the strength and weakness of the choices that we want to make. First of all, if you take the locals, for instance, I think there's no any ambiguity that history favors the locals, judging from the number of cups we've won in the past, even from the junior national teams to the senior national teams. So now that leads us to why we want to change the direction, and that is our weakness. And the weakness is that we are trying to go in for foreigners because, one, we think the foreign-based players do not give that respect that they give to the foreigners to our local coaches. And I think we will have to get at least a prudent administration to be able to rather install some measures as guidelines so that we can curtail that particular virus. Because we cannot say we give the local coaches the chance to coach the under-17, they go to the World Cup and win. Even the last cup we won in Egypt, it was a local coach. But when it comes to the Black Stars, we give the foreign-based players that leeway that they should be indisciplined. So we rather have to look at it from that angle, especially our administrators. When they bring in the foreigners, the conditions and service they give to the foreign coaches, do they do the same for the locals? I think we have to look at it from that angle. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Inko. 0302216541. 0302216541. And I haven't you haven't told us where you stand regarding what we should do with the appointments of our national team coaches. This is something that our last caller brought up.
I think
Carl.
I have. I've never minced my words. It goes back to 1988 when I started writing and then presenting. For me, if we are adamant and insistent of having a foreign, and the foreign is defined as a white-skinned person, a Caucasian, as the national team coach.
I always try to avoid that, but for some reason it always comes back.
You have to accept that.
Yeah.
And that they are the all-in-all. Then I'm sorry to say, then in that way, since we became independent and we haven't seen the progress we should have had, then we should go back and also bring the white foreign man back in here. For me, it transcends everything then. If you can't give the opportunity to the Ghanaian, then we have no business being independent. Case closed as far as I'm concerned.
Carl to four there. Carl the truth to four. Let's take our final phone call. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Immediately after that, we'll take a related point from Marco Fagino. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, I'm amazed just as Carl was before going to the studio, listening to the two gentlemen we have in the studio, Sam Johnson and Abu Jamba. They did very fantastic submissions. And I'm surprised they've not turned these things down and giving it to the authorities. Because if you have all these ideas, of course, it's not too much about journalism, but like I said, he's gone through all these ups and downs of journalism, but he's never looked at these things, the technical aspects, the way they have presented them. I would advise that you be a good person in this FA issues. Why don't you collect these things and submit it to the new FA? Since we are that close to fair and the rest. Because these are workable ideas. And like Carl admitted, we could all work around it and then we'll see how we move that forward. My humble submission to you.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you so much. Let's come to Malco Afajino, which also will be his wrap-up submissions as well.
Any day, any time, we would always push for our local talent. I mean, I see Fuyo seated across me, and just 2 weeks ago, a couple of friends were having flashes of nostalgia of the good old days, and you know, if we could bring our people up to the level where they'll deliver for this country, it would be awesome. That must be the key blueprint. Never, however, must we use that as an excuse to lower the bar and to bring the standards up. We in Ghana are capable of competing at the highest level with the very best. Absolutely. And so whoever we are looking for should have what it takes and should be groomed and must be ready to perform at the highest level. Absolutely. We should not equate local with mediocrity. Never. Yeah. We should not lower the bar because we are going for our own people. Never. Let's get our people, let's tune up our people, let's make sure our people are performing at the highest possible levels and standards.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I also worry a bit now because I agree with you on everything, but I'm seeing a developing trend that is making it frightening. It's no more at national level. It's now coming to club level, where they are now looking for quotation marks for foreigners who may not necessarily have.
I believe that we would have another opportunity to interrogate why this is so. Again, as is the case with a number of issues, it's multifaceted and it has so many reasons. And we need to unpack the reasons to understand how we got to this situation, to be able to trace our footsteps backwards and get a solution that works for this country and for the clubs.
But if I may just come in very briefly, in terms of, you know, strengthening the technical departments of the various, whether be it national teams or the Premier Division teams or First Division teams and so on and so forth. With the national teams, you are looking at what the head coach, assistant coach, physical trainer, physiotherapist, team nurse, doctor, and so on and so forth. Look, you need a fit player for the coach to be able to deliver. Injuries come about during the game. Rehabilitation is very, very important. But we have physiotherapists here who don't know anything about rehabilitating players to get them fit, to be given back to the coaches to deliver at the highest level. So let us move away from employing people we call physiotherapists who are only there to massage the muscles. No, we are looking at people who are adequate enough to get the muscles fit again. We are talking about relevant muscles for real football actions.
Abukari, MONEYO. Because the real physiotherapist ain't going to just accept peanuts.
But what we are talking about is that let us get our people in there and educate them. Educate the people.
Because without that, nothing can be achieved. Because you only wait for the national team without the Premier League doing the same. I don't think it will.
Gentlemen, this is what happens all the time. When the conversation is getting heated up and more submissions are coming in, we have to unfortunately check out of the studio. But conversations that we surely will resume. Next week we will be here and we will bring you another Joy Sports Link. But I'd like to say a very big thank you to all of my guests: Sam Johnson, Abukari Damba, Malco Afajino, and of course Carl Tofor. To the production team, I say salutes to you, the backbone for making the Joy Sports Link #1. Thank you so much. And my man Charles Ayete, that's how he pronounces his name. My God, brother. You have a wonderful one, and good afternoon to you, Mr. Ken Entry, the group head of HR at Olam. firmly tuned into the Joy Sports Link. Always keep it here. Don't move it. Don't move it. One of our longest serving listeners, or longest running listeners as well. We thank you all. We're still celebrating 25 years of impact and excellence in broadcasting. Have a wonderful Saturday. Charles Aite will now bring you the delayed Joy headline news at 2. My name is Nathaniel Attoh, and I have love for sport.